The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Let's talk about this main event. Another one that capped off PFL versus Bellator. And before this, Bellator was wiping the floor with PFL, and they got the most wins out of this head-to-head. But you had the PFL heavyweight champion, Renan Ferreira, defeating Ryan Bader by TKO. And it wasn't much to this fight. Renan Ferreira landed a big right hand within the first 15 seconds that dropped Bader, followed up with some ground and pound, and that's all she wrote. What were your thoughts of this one?
Man, I sent you that picture before the fight, them two standing side by side. Bader looked like his kid, man. Bader is, he's always been a light heavyweight, and he found a little success in Bellator at heavyweight, but he's not a heavyweight, man. Like, even if they wouldn't have stopped that fight, that guy could have just laid on him, and he wouldn't have been able to escape. Like, the guy was so much bigger than him. It was maybe stopped a little early. I don't think Bader was completely done, but it eventually would have got there. So I guess I got to say it is a fair stoppage. But, Ryan Bader a lot of times doesn't show up when it counts.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts, Steve?
Yeah, it reminded me sort of his previous fights. Some are lingering. I don't know if they're maybe Anthony Johnson. I think maybe similar, just how he crumbled from a shot. It looked like in that Ryan Bader, for what his style is, it seems like he tried to indulge in the striking game, and sort of like Stipe with Ngannou. I know he popped him with a jab, and then Ferreira, he came over with a straight right down the pipe and took him out of there. And I don't know what he was thinking. It was a dumb game plan to me. I really don't know what he's thinking. Just to me, knowing how Ryan Bader fought in the past and his strengths you would think would be wrestling and grappling.
So circling back to Admire's point, Bader is undersized for heavyweight, and he'd be perfect cruiserweight because there are a few divisions that neither the UFC or PFL or the bigger companies use that are utilized by like lower level regional MMA promotions, like the cruiserweight, like the 195, 165, 175. But Ryan Bader would be a perfect cruiserweight. That's 225, but they don't have it. So, like Admire was saying, he's undersized. He probably needs to go back to light heavyweight. But even then, didn't Nemkov beat his ass?
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just kind of going over his past, and every time he tries to stand up with a striker, he gets knocked out. So this guy, Ferreira, knocked him out. Corey Anderson knocked him out. Nemkov knocked him out. Anthony Johnson, Glover Teixeira, Lyoto Machida, like all these guys that are known good strikers, above average, have knocked him out. He's a wrestler from Arizona State. He needs to go back to that. He needs to try to do that when he's going against a striker. Don't try to prove the point, because he's got 6 losses by knockout, man. That's not good.
And he's 40 years old. Maybe it's just time for him to retire. I mean, I don't want to take away from his livelihood, because maybe that's how he puts food on his family's table, but you want to have a healthy way of living, and he keep getting knocked out, like Haymaker said. And he already won the both Bellator heavyweight belts and light heavyweight belts. So maybe, that's the ceiling. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah,
I mean, but I think they're kind of messing up too, because they're giving him people who are basically washed, and that's getting him up there towards the top. So like his last wins, Fedor, old as shit, Czech Congo, been knocked out multiple times, old. He beat, he avenged his loss to Machida, but he did it in Bellator. He's fighting a lot of people that have been through the ringer.
Yeah.
and you put him against, it kind of shows his last two losses. Well, this one, then Corey Anderson, then Nemkov. When he's up there with somebody who's not washed, he's getting knocked out.
Yeah, it seems like he hits a wall when you put him up against the higher level competition. He'll beat the people that he's supposed to beat, but he doesn't rise to the occasion and like shock the world. He is what he is, and I mean, he made a good career out of it. So nothing that you can really say. Like, some people just have, that limit. So enough on him. No, let's talk about the winner of this one because there's implications with this one. Pereira got the win, and before the fight, they announced that he is supposed to be fighting the Predator, Francis Ngannou, who I don't think he's even had a PFL fight yet. But there was some more implications. You had John Jones running around K-side, which really doesn't have to do with anything, but you had that factor into it as well. So do we think Francis Ngannou actually fights this guy?
I think so. I mean, he's got, like I said when we talked about it a couple episodes ago, they've got to get him in there. They paid him all that money to be the face of PFL, so they've got to get him in there. I haven't seen enough of this, guy to really gauge where he's at. I mean, he's big. This dude is 6'8", 261, yep. And he has a lot of knockouts. 11 of his 13 wins have been knockouts. So what happens when Ngannou gets against this guy that's similar sized?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Ngannou fought a pretty big guy before, and maybe I'm tripping, but I mean, we all know Ngannou's got that equalizer. But Steve, do we see this fight happen?
I certainly do. Once Ngannou gets his boxing endeavors out the way, I think, and what's dude's name? Heavyweight, and who just won?
Renan Ferreira.
Okay, and yeah, that was as far as against Ryan Bader. What's his size?
Like I might say 6'8".
Yeah, so he's got 4 inches on Ngannou.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a good fight. I think it'll definitely happen. And for me, we're also talking about where there'll be even a challenge worthy enough outside of UFC. But y'all saying that, I think the closest person fighting Ngannou was Cyril Gane.
Yeah.
I think how close was he?
He's 6'5", I want to say.
I think, yeah, now that you say how tall Fiera is, I think definitely this is a seller.
I mean, it'll be a fine fight, but I don't know if I'm as optimistic that we see this fight happen at least anytime soon. I think it all depends on how Ngannou versus Joshua goes next month. If Ngannou does well and wins, I don't know if we see this fight happen at all. And Amar saying they're paying him money. I mean, you don't think he has like some type of clause or something where he can get out of it maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It'd be bad business if there isn't something in there that says you have to fight. Like, I would think that they put in there you have to fight once a year. Most fighters get into a year, so you can go box as much as you want, but you need to be here for us 1 fight a year to put on a headliner. And like we were just talking about, they just put a lot of star power into that one card. They're going to be running thin, eventually on, people who can headline the card. So, I don't know if they've traditionally Bellator's done like a big event, for one of the holidays or something, but I can see them saving him up until, like a 4th of July card or, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't he sign last summer and we still haven't seen him fight yet?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I bet you, I would almost bet that after he fights Joshua, like within a day or two, they announce his MMA fight.
I'm not so sure that happens, but we'll see. I mean, like Steve said, on paper, that's a good fight with the size of Hennen, but I don't know. And what was the purpose of John Jones being there?
That I don't know. Like I said, the one we were talking about earlier, the other fighter, Aaron
Pico.
Yeah, Pico fights out of Jackson, so I mean, he kind of has that tie, but I don't know, man. Last we heard, John Jones was in the comedy club drunk, starting shit, and now he's overseas. So I don't know. I have no idea.
John Jones is a habitual shit stirrer. Was he doing it just to kind of take the spotlight off of Ngannou a little bit?
If he did, it worked kind of. I mean, they showed him multiple times, and if you go to the fight page for this, oh, I lost it. On the Wikipedia, it even says John Jones made an appearance.
I mean, Steve, did you see him walking around the crowd?
I did. And my theory is I feel like some of these fighters that get a little pull with their stardom, especially John Jones, they do a little thing to where I feel like it should be crossing business lines with, promoting yourself up in, or you could have been there for a fighter, but going in there promoting yourself on their cameras. I feel like it's also a jab at Dana to see, because the Stipe thing is slowing up to where, hey, Ngannou is eventually going to come over here. If he even coming to MMA, he's going to get the first fight, or I'm going to have to go over to PFL to get a quick one fight check. And I think John Jones tests the water because he knows that the ball is in his court and he can control it now.
Yeah. And I wonder, now that Bellator and PFL is together, they have ties with ESPN. Mm-hmm. UFC is tied in with ESPN. I wonder if this eventually is going to set up like a super event to where they do a cross promotion.
I mean, it could happen. Nothing's preventing them from doing it. There's no like rules that say you can't do it. I mean, if they're smart, they would do it.
Yeah, if they were smart, they would do that. I mean, because they're going to get every fan from both sides. I mean, I imagine there's a lot of crossover fans. Or, I mean, we could just be looking too much into it, and maybe one of the princes or kings over there said, John Jones, I'll give you $1 million to come sit by me at the fight.
That's probably what actually happened. I mean, Tyson's over there too, and Tyson doesn't even fight anymore. I'm sure that he got paid to be over there. And like you said, they were showing him all over. They had his face like at the bottom of the screen, like during the actual fight, which was weird. They were just showing him like.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, wow, you're putting John Jones on the screen, like you're promoting the fuck out of this guy. And I mean, you have to think in the business world that means something. That if they're showing somebody on there, that something's brewing somehow. I mean, didn't John Jones sign another fight extension like in the last year or two, like another 4 or 6 fight? Like
I think you may be right.
I think he's locked up for a while unless the UFC's like, we're tired of your shit. Like, you got caught out fucking around again. Like, we're getting ready to cut you.
Yeah, I think he may have signed an extension, but I have to go back and look at that. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting marketing tactic for the show. A guy's not even in your company, but like you said, they both signed with ESPN, so maybe that had to play into it. But yeah, as far as overall like event, you think this was a success? I mean, like you said, not promotion, it just snuck up on us, but y'all think overall this card, is a super card, was a success and kind of will carry momentum in the future? Admire, I'll start with you.
Yeah. Before I say that, I did find it. John Jones signed a new 8-fight deal at the beginning of 2023. So he is under a new contract. As far as the Bellator PFL card, I think it was a success, but we all didn't know it was coming on. And, I don't feel like we're a bunch of casuals, like it kind of flew on under the radar and snuck up on us. Like, I watched a lot of stuff on ESPN Plus, and I didn't really see any commercials there either. I didn't see the YouTube commercials. I don't know that this was promoted the best way, but I think it was a great way to kick it off. I don't know. I can't say that I would pay for future Bellator fights. This would have been the one I paid for. Yeah. But I don't know if there's anything they can put together in the future that is pay-per-view worthy.
Yeah, I agree. They would have to really dig down and maybe kind of recycle some of the guys from this fight and match them up with other people as far as name value. But that's a hard sell for somebody to pay 50, 60, or however much they charge for pay-per-view. They might need to go back to the mold or putting it just on ESPN Plus without the pay-per-view paywall. But I don't know. Steve, do you think this was a success?
Definitely for the start of the company, for a first big fight, big card like this, Yoel Romero, those names. I think so, but like you said, it will be a struggle for the future. I think just to get some more time, I think they're going to have to pull Ngannou out the bag one more time or once, just to, everybody can get the energy off him to buy a year or more to accumulate and situate fighters.
Yeah. As far as the actual fight goes, they got off to a good start, but they just needed to put more marketing on it. I didn't see any commercials like we just talked about, and just have to be a little bit more visible and, have the product speak for itself. But I'm definitely looking forward to see what they put on next. So we'll keep an eye out on that. Thank you for checking out this Haymaker Combat Sports segment. This full episode can be found on the Haymaker Combat Sports YouTube page and in audio form on all major podcast platforms. Until next time.